Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Comic Books NYC. Sorry for the delay. You're watching Gotham City Chronicles, episode 15, Under the Red Hood. Joining me, as always, is my co-host, JP's Budget Collecting. What's going on, brother? How you doing?
Can you see me? I can actually hear
I can hear you and see you only at about 70% of my normal range of hearing and seeing, because I am unfortunately under the weather with food poisoning.
Oh, man. Sorry, man.
As you can see, my color isn't like my normal color. I'm a little bit out of it, but I still am excited to do this show because this is a great story and we got some great guests. Thank you to everybody in the chat for hanging out for a little while. We had a little bit of technical issues, but we're here. We're live.
My apologies to the chat. I should have just done the shut everything out, down, unplug everything, plug it back in from the beginning. And then that's apparently all it took.
What are you gonna do? All right, so let's get right to it with our guests here. We got two awesome people who are friends of ours, and especially this next person is the perfect guest for this particular story because it happens to be his favorite Batman story of all time. That is ComicGeekMcD. What's going on, my friend?
Nice.
Hey guys, thank you so much for letting me be a part of this. I'm so excited to talk about this, guys. Like I've read this like 20 times or more, and
20 times.
Holy moly!
Yeah, man. So definitely can't wait. So thank you guys.
Awesome. All right. Well, you are gonna have to. You're going to have to fill us in on all the insight you have, having read it that many times. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And our next guest is a returning guest to this program, Matt, TheBoyWhoHad7, with his fresh Batman hat. Look at all these Batman hats.
Batman hat. See, I'm the only one got a Batman hat.
What's up, JP? Where's your hat at, man?
Yeah, he's sticking to his. Is that a Chiefs hat?
What?
Is that a Chiefs hat?
That's a Royals hat. But yeah.
Oh, Royals. Okay.
It's just what I'm wearing today.
One of those. Oh, man. All right. So great seeing you guys. Thanks for hopping on. So I know McD has read it 20 times. This was my first time reading it like front to back. I had read some of these issues. Like I think the ones where the Jock was doing the covers.
Yeah.
But I had not read the earlier part of the run, and I had not read Batman Annual, Annual 25, which is like the end of the story. Yeah. So, I guess let's real quick before we get into that, let's say a quick hello to the chat. We got Unruly Simeons in here, Biggie Shack, the freshly crowned 3-time Hunt champion. Congrats, brother. Is in the house. These guys are all hanging out for a while, chatting with each other, and we're sorry we're so late.
It's all my fault. I'm sorry.
No, it's not. It's not all your fault.
It's all my internet's fault. That was that.
Let's see who else is in here. Sharon, Life with Two YouTubers. Hey, Sharon. Mr. Garrell in the house. What's up, Mr. Garrell? Who else is in here? Captain Comics is in here.
Cap.
What's up, Cap? And I don't think I can use StreamYard as effectively as I normally can right now. I can barely see the screen. Kachung's in here.
I'm sure it's not
Kachung. All right, guys. So you bear with me in this episode. Not feeling that well. But hey, we're here. We're live, and we're talking about Batman Under the Red Hood, written by Judd, Winick, and illustrated by Doug Mahnke, with covers by Matt Wagner and Jock. Any initial thoughts? I mean, I quite enjoyed the story. I had not seen the animated movie, so that's next on my list, and I didn't get a chance to watch it before.
I wanted to touch on that. Actually,
did the show?
The animated movie I personally love the animated movie, but with all animated movies, they have changed the story.
Of course.
They've cut some things that like I wish I could have seen. For example, like within the story, we know that Mr. Freeze is actually quite a big villain within the story of Blood Mask hiring basically Mr. Freeze. But they don't show that at all. Even Batman, when he goes up to see like the Green Arrow and stuff, to talk about that. A lot of stuff you don't really see, but it's still really good. Like I definitely recommend seeing it. And plus, Jensen Ackles as the voice of Red Hood is awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I would say, like, for me, my introduction to this was the animated movie. Like, I had never read any of these issues. So the animated movie was my introduction. So that probably clouds a little bit of my thoughts about when I read this because I love the animated movie a lot.
Super Russ.
And so, but we'll get into like where like
that's interesting.
Cut some stuff, and some of it I think I'm glad they cut from the movie, and some of it like they probably could have left in. But so yeah. But
what about you, Matt? Did you read the movie? Did you watch the movie first or read the book first?
So I watched the movie first. I've actually probably seen that movie over 20 times, like McDee's.
Oh, wow.
That's my favorite DC movie, period.
Right there.
Or live action.
So I'm the only one here that A, hasn't seen the animated movie, and that B, has read the book before the movie.
Yeah.
Something that really
that's
blew my
interesting.
mind as well, actually, is I can't remember the guy's name. He's in How I Met Your Mother. He's Barney. What's his name?
Neil Patrick Harris.
Neil Patrick.
Yeah.
Neil Patrick Harris. He's the voice of Nightwing in that movie.
Yeah.
Oh, is he? Oh, that's cool, dude.
That was awesome.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
The movie is so good. Like you're gonna love it when you see it. And like
I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it tonight while I'm lying flat on my back with my stomach.
It's awesome, man. One of the best.
You'll love it, man.
Ever.
It's really good. I mean,
it's honestly on par.
Actually, we gotta stop building it up because it sucks, dude. Like, let us know what you think, man.
We're talking about the Under the Red Hood animated DC movie, which is the movie version of the storyline that we're covering today on this episode. So yeah. All right. Well, that's cool.
You can get it on the DC app. It's on there.
Oh, it's on the DC app. Okay.
I'm pretty sure. I'm 90% sure. Yeah, I've seen
so
it.
I can watch it like on my iPad in bed or whatever.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, Sharon, watch it. Oh.
Yeah. That's apparently I gotta watch it.
Too much, but like if you like Mask of the Phantasm, like I honestly think it's on par with that. Like that's that movie is to me.
Yeah.
It's
I'm gonna go quite that far.
I'm biased, of course. I love Red Hood, so like take that.
Yeah, McDee's a little bit what's the word? Bias.
Infatuated with the guy, but. Well, like when I got back into collecting comics, like you guys know, I was all Marvel, so I started like dabbling with DC. And Under the Red Hood is one of the first movies I saw. As soon as I saw that, I went and read the books, and so this is my second time reading them. And Red Hood's just top 5 for sure.
Top 5.
Well, that's why McD. McD loves Jason Todd, Red Hood in general. Like, so I don't think we could have done this show if he had not figured out a way.
Doing the show without McD.
Yeah, without him. And,
I do have a question before we get into the story, just for McD. So was this the movie and this storyline your introduction to Red Hood, or were you already kind of a Red Hood fan from like stuff you'd read late that comes later, or like how did you become like where was your introduction to Red Hood? I'm just curious.
I was actually in hospital and I was really, really ill. And my mum had actually brought me a couple of graphic novels. And my first ever read was this book with Hush. And that brought me into comics so hard.
Wow.
I've never.
It's a good place to start.
It's like I don't know how to explain how much like the connection of Jason Todd with me is. I just love this character beyond belief. It's honestly it's awesome. So yeah, I was 15, and from there I've read it over 20 times, at least over 20 times, maybe 30.
Nice.
You know what's funny, guys? Like McD and I think it was like over a year and a half ago, we had wanted to do like a whole Red Hood show. Yeah. So you know how Matt Thanatos and I were doing the Green Lantern Jeff Johns run?
Yeah.
This dude and I were gonna do Red Hood, and we were gonna start with this story. And so it's kind of cool that we're finally gonna get to do this over here on your guys' show.
Yeah, for sure.
We're stoked about that, man.
Like, I still want to do that.
Seconding
this
sure.
hat.
Everybody's picking on me from my lack of Batman hat. I'm sorry. I think I might have a Joker hat somewhere. I don't think I have a Batman hat.
What's up, Gorvidal? He said, good day. I haven't read anything Red Hood related or seen the film, but I enjoy comics discussions and nice to listen as I prepare lunch. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. We also have first edition comics in the house, and I was looking for a comment from him. There he is. And I think some other people here joined us, but Sharon, Super Russ, there he is. Yeah, Super Russ is in here.
Over 9,000.
So thanks, guys, for hanging out with us. So let's talk a little bit of Jason Todd, a little bit of Red Hood. Now, obviously, there's been previous Jason Todd stories that are well established. Batman 408, for example, like the origin of Jason Todd, Death in the Family, the quote unquote death of Jason Todd.
For a long time by comic terms.
Which we covered on this program. Did we cover that with you, Matt? Yeah, we covered that with Matt, the boy who had 7. There's 408.
There's 408.
Oh yeah. Yes, that's from my PC. And then I sent that overseas to McD because I knew that he would appreciate that one. It's a great copy.
This is the origin of Jason. I know there's been multiple origins of Jason Todd, but this is the origin that I find the most intriguing. I think this is the best. I didn't really care for the whole copying Dick Grayson sort of thing. Like, it didn't bother me as much as other people maybe have been bothered by it, but I prefer to him to have like an actual origin of his own rather than just copying off of Dick Grayson. But this is
for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's
thank you so much, buddy.
For anybody that doesn't know that's watching this, just because McGee was given the background, is when he was first introduced, basically because they had taken Dick Grayson to the Titans, they wanted a Robin back, and they basically just made him a clone. And it wasn't until after Crisis, that's his first appearance after Crisis, where they gave him his own, made him his own character to a certain degree.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. Right. His first actual appearance in a comic book was what, 357? Batman 357?
Yes. Yeah. That's right.
That
was also the first appearance of Killer Croc, right?
But but by far the most famous storyline involving Jason Todd is Death in the Family, which we read with Matt, wherein Jason Todd dies, and then this is the story of his resurrection, essentially, right? With Red Hood. I want to start with, let's start with the artwork, because that's probably one of my favorite things about this particular book. I think Doug Mahnke's a super talented guy, great interior comic book artist. He does covers too, but he didn't do the covers for this, right? Matt Wagner did the covers for the first 5 issues of the run, and Jock did the covers for the second 5 issues of the run. Some fantastic covers also. We'll get to that too.
Oh yeah, some of them are absolutely insane. Like,
good.
Especially the first appearance of Jason Todd, like, it's a beauty. Like, it's golden, man.
It's good, yeah. That's the 635 cover, the Wagner cover.
Yeah, man. I love it so much.
It's so good. So I don't know. Any thoughts from you guys about the interior artwork from Doug Mahnke on this title? I mean, I don't have a ton that I can complain about. I'm a big fan of it.
My only complaint about the interior artwork is the couple chapters where it's not Doug.
Yeah.
Which ones are those?
So, toward the end, the second to last chapter, where it appears, what is that, 8 or 649 is Eric Battle, and that's where you first see, like, in the first, you see him with the Joker, and then, like, where Batman comes to confront them, like, that chapter, the art just doesn't stack up to Doug's art.
Yeah, it doesn't.
And then there's another one, and he does the last 2, and I don't think they're as good as the rest of the book.
Yeah, I would actually agree with that. I didn't even realize it wasn't him though, so maybe that's on me. But I also
it's really jarring, actually. Like, to me, like, mainly when you get like face shots is where I was like, whoa, that is not.
Here's one right here, man. I mean,
what's up, Disco?
It's not bad. It's just not as good. Like,
yeah, it's not as good as
the change. Like, was really noticeable.
It's just there's not the detail that Mahnke has. Yeah. It's just a little. It's more cartoony and not done as well. So
it's more in the faces and the detail. Like, when it's close up, you can really tell like the difference between Mahnke and Bell. I didn't actually notice that until you just mentioned that.
Well, I really love Doug Mahnke's Black Mask. I mean, Doug Mahnke's Black Mask is like my favorite thing in this book.
Yep.
Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, his Jason Todd Red Hood is awesome too, and I like his Batman. I like his Mr. Freeze, and I really like so. And I was hoping to hold on. I'll go to McD real quick. Yeah, there you go. Hell yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, his Freeze is really good.
Yeah, like he shows it really well.
Kachung, it's worth checking out, bro. He says he had never read it, but he's being schooled about DC on a Saturday. Yeah, it's kind of cool to do this show on a Saturday.
Yeah.
I like it.
Check out that. I mean, that's just gorgeous, man.
Oh, the Meso,
yeah. That's so
like
huge.
the angle, everything, like so good.
So I'm going to show this page, and this is a Doug Mahnke page, but from the second issue, 636.
Okay.
So I have a reason for showing this page, but this is the page. This is the page where basically Black Mask is sitting in his office talking to his assistant Lee, and you see that they have surveillance on Red Hood.
Yeah. Right,
and they see him in the surveillance footage, and then down here, he's calling up. I think they're about to get Freeze involved in a mission. And the previous page, Freeze was like talking to the lab tech.
Yeah.
And then by the end of that page, it says he's killed another lab tech, and I just died laughing when I read that page. So I thought it was great writing, great art. A page with Black Mask, his assistant, Red Hood, and Mr. Freeze all on that page. And I actually acquired the original artwork for that page. For that page, which is a Doug Mahnke pencil page. Unfortunately, I didn't arrive in time for this show because everything is taking like a week or two longer to get to New York than it should. So it would have been cool to show on this show, but hey, whatever. I'll have it eventually in my collection, which is really cool.
I am so jealous. That's awesome. That's so
Thanks,
cool.
brother.
Man. So
That's
good.
Awesome. But like, there is also like small differences within the movie as well, which I wanted to touch on as well. Like, JP, you were saying that you are glad that some things were cut. Can I ask you what things you were glad of that they cut? And what
so I feel like, I don't want to go like, because I really, so I'm probably going to come across as like I don't like some things. Like, I really enjoy this. I really do.
Me too.
What keeps it from being like one of my absolute favorite Batman stories is that the way it had to be told, because it was told as part of the ongoing Batman run, and they spread it out over like, they have like a 6-issue run, and then there's like that you skip in here, and then
for those that don't know, it was told over Batman 635 to 641. Then there was a 4-issue break, on this storyline. Then it was told from 645 to 650. Then there was a break until Batman Annual 25 came out.
Yeah.
The Batman Annual 25 explains to you exactly how Jason Todd came back to life and became Red. Yeah, the origin of Jason Todd Red Hood.
The weaknesses of this, I feel like this could have really been like top 2, 3, 4 material for me, like all-time Batman stories, if it hadn't been written by like. There's all these little things that are going on where they have like scenes and things that are like other things that are happening in the DC universe or things that have happened previously, and like I just feel like I feel like it's drug out because they have to pay homage to things like the whole thing when they're getting ready to fight at the end with the Joker and the weird bomb going off in Bloodhaven that's part of a different DC event.
Yeah.
And there's just these things in here that I feel like hurts the pacing.
There are a lot of like what you would call like inside baseball for DC around that time frame, and even DC in the past. Like, if you didn't read A Death in the Family, this isn't very accessible. If you didn't read Hush, even to some degree, it isn't as it is. I mean, they backtrack and fill you in on it. And in this trade, they even include Batman 618 from Hush, right?
Yep.
So if you want to read that portion of Hush to like understand what all the references are, they at least include it in here for you. But they also retcon what happened in Hush because I don't think Jeff Loeb. I don't think that was Jeff. And we talked about this when we did Hush. We don't think necessarily that Jeff Loeb had in the back of his mind that
No.
that was actually Jason Todd.
No.
You know, that was a Judd Winick and whoever the editor of DC was when this came out.
That's a complete retcon. That's
they're backwardsing into that solution for
I never
him.
thought though that it ruined the story of Hush. Like, okay, yeah,
I don't think so either. I don't think so either.
Just to mess with Batman's, psyche in a way, just to freak him out. But I mean, whether it was Clayface or Jason Todd, it still served the purpose of the story.
I would agree.
You know what I mean?
And I honestly think, I think it's a complete retcon that was never intended to be him. I think there was also I think at the time, because you think it's only like 20 chapters or so before they actually do bring him back. To me, I think it was a complete test run to see if they like the idea of trying to do it. Like, I think they completely, and when they saw the reaction of how people reacted to Hush and that particular issue, I think it's when they probably decided, we're going to do this. Even though I think it was a retcon to say that it was him, if that makes any sense.
I think the reason why I'm so interested in Jason Todd myself as being Red Hood is because look at every single Robin there has been, right? Okay, so there's been some amazing Robins, but none have been so dramatically, so much changed compared to Jason Todd that then leads into Red Hood. None of them has been to that extent of extremism where he changes that much.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why he's so interesting, and he's just so badass. I love it. It's awesome.
But Chunga, I think it's on the DC app, but I mean that's what these guys, or that's what JP said. I don't know. I actually still have to check to see if it's available there.
Yeah, I haven't checked, and given my internet, I can't check right now. But as you were asking, like, I just feel like this whole thing would have been like an 8-issue like miniseries, like a really tight 8-issue storyline. I think would have made this better, not worse. If that makes any sense. I just feel like it just needed to be tightened a little bit because
it was still good, but there was just some parts where you didn't like.
I just felt like the pacing was a little slow. I felt it took too long to get to the showdown because you know where it's going from the moment that it's Jason Todd.
Because it starts that way.
Yeah, it starts that way, and like I forget which chapter it is.
Well, the whole crux of the story is that Jason Todd is like heartbroken at the fact that Batman allowed the Joker to just continue on and constantly, evade authorities.
When you look at it from Jason's point of view as well, you can understand where he's coming from because, I mean, for all the deranged things and the deranged families and people he's killed, and partner he's killed, and he's escaped so many times, why hasn't he done it? Like, and then Batman, says that one line, like, if I cross that line, I can never come back. Yeah. And it makes sense, Batman will never cross that line. And it's just like, I love how those two contrasts. And then Batman feels like, like you were my partner. And
there were a lot of emotional scenes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. Like, it tugs on the heartstrings for sure. Like,
I think there's two things I think that to me that are weaknesses. Well, there's a couple things I think that are weaknesses that keep it from being the top, but I don't want to necessarily nitpick those. But I just think the pacing is a little slow. He captures the Joker in the 3rd issue of the storyline. Right. And it's the 13th issue before we get to the showdown about the Joker. Like, I think the Black Mask stuff goes on too long. Like, you're establishing that he's coming back and doing this thing. I just think they drag that for too many issues. I feel like we know what the point is. The first storyline should be him figuring out it's Jason Todd, and then the second part needs to be headed to that showdown between the Joker, Batman, and Red Hood.
To the end. What's up?
The point of Black Mask, though, was what I thought was the fact that he needed to
84.
be a figure in the underworld where he was taking over so much that he was going to be a better Batman, and that the underworld was going to be more scared than him. And that's why he wanted to take the Joker down. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's right. I think that's what, like, I think those two things really blended in well together for me. Yeah. I can understand where you're coming from, but for me, I think those blended in quite well.
I don't think it's not bad. I just think it takes too long.
I fall somewhere in between what JP's saying and what McD is saying. Like, Black Mask was my favorite part. So I didn't mind. So I didn't really necessarily mind all of that. extra like time it took, but
I
would have rather read this as a separate like one shot Jason Todd part of it. Like it's almost like it's almost like I would like the best of both worlds would have been having this be a mini series or even a long one shot, like or a graphic novel or something like that, if it was possible to release it in that format. But I mean, but it's fine because I'm experiencing it as a graphic novel.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't really, I wasn't collecting Batman single issues back in the 600s, waiting week to week. You know, so I can forgive it. You know.
Yeah, and
Can I just make a comment? Like, I know that
you're on the kid. What's up?
There who love Tom King's writing, so I'm not bad mouthing it. I did as well. I didn't mind some of it, but there was a lot of filler. Now, I don't think within this graphic novel there is that much. Like,
no, I would agree with that.
I see this as not a filler book at all. I see this as a progressive story that leads to a very conclusive end.
Yeah.
Whereas if you look at it structurally from now and other stories that have been Batman, not just Tom King's, there's other ones as well, where there has been too much filler. There's been too much of where is this actually going? Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that this was a story that started from a good standoff point of Jason Todd fighting Batman on the roof, and that one of the guys, the homeless guy, and he's like, oh, what's going on? And then it carries on from figuring out who Jason Todd is, trying to, him overtaking the underworld, and then his revenge between Batman and Joker. Like, I think that was very progressive for me. I mean, I'm biased, so like, whatever I say, I'm gonna love this regardless. So, I don't really know what to say here. I think it's very progressive in that way. I don't think it was very, very filler.
I will say my perspective on that is probably slanted because the only way I'd experienced this story for a long time is the movie, and I'd seen the movie multiple times, and it's because of it's the movie, it's so much tighter storytelling that I really, really enjoy. That this was a little bit of like, whoa, why are we? I know where we're going. Let's get there, and that's probably because of like my perspective. Like, I felt like the Black Mask was needed to the part with the Black Mask was needed to establish that he was making moves, but I just felt it went along a little too long. I felt like some of the stuff with Batman going and visiting Green Arrow and Superman and Zatanna that lasted a little bit too long. Like, I felt like all that.
I love that bit because it showed like he wanted to know. Like, I love that part of him wanting to know where death leads and why.
I would agree with McD on that.
I love that idea of him being so traumatically and psychologically traumatized by Jason Todd, his partner, his Robin, coming back and not knowing why he's back. Like, I think that was such a cool thing to like really.
Yeah, it's logical because like his detective nature, and that's like the thing. One of the things that's most personal to him. Yeah, is what happened to Jason and how he couldn't save him and everything. So, for him to believe it, he needs to take like 3 issues to investigate like every possible angle.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, I do. I'm nitpicking. It's like it's good. It's not like I'm like that. I think it sucks by any means. I just think.
But I haven't seen the movie, so I feel like I got the best experience.
There is a part.
You probably do.
This.
I wanted to know from Matt and if you've seen the movie. So there's obviously when Black Mask goes for the assassination against Jason, they changed that within the movie to the graphic novel. So there was I think they're very like C-list characters.
Hyena, they're it's like D-list characters.
Vertigo.
Yeah.
Was it Hyena? Who was the other character again?
Captain Nazi.
Captain Nazi.
Yeah.
Captain Nazi is my favorite, bro.
Okay, so
like, that was like,
he's one notch below Black Mask.
Here is another really tiny quibble I have with that scene, and that they missed an opportunity. I think, and it's just from my perspective, they missed an opportunity because early in the book we get Batman and Nightwing taking on Amazo.
Yeah.
And that fight is told from Nightwing's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And it needed to be told from Batman's perspective of him teaming with Nightwing and how he sees him. Then if you have the fight later where it's Batman and Red Hood against these other guys, which A, it should have been like a better character, but B, that could have been a really cool contrast of the styles of the 2 Robins and from Batman's point of view, that I just feel like they missed a really small opportunity as part of this bigger story. Like if they told both those fights from Batman's point of view instead of Nightwing's point of view, Batman's point of view, I think it would have been a cooler contrast, just from my perspective. Like
I get where you're coming from. I think as well, like how it like came off from Nightwing was like he lost a way to have a little brother in a way. Like obviously Nightwing and well, Dick and Jason must have met before Jason died. So in a way, like Jason was a little brother to Dick. So
I don't know, guys. This led me down an eBay rabbit hole for Count Vertigo and Captain Nazi keys. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
But no, like when I got to that scene, like the scene where Deathstroke shows up, and I'm like, and having already had Nightwing and Batman fight Amazo, and I'm like, oh, we're gonna get Red Hood and Batman versus Deathstroke. Yes, and then it's Hyena and Count Vertigo and Nazi. I was like,
I was let down with that too.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, that was a letdown because I really, really love Deathstroke. I would have loved to see that epic fight go out. Like
I think that would,
Batman story where you're like, I can't wait to see.
That was a little confusing. Yeah.
Yeah. Why did they use Deathstroke? That like to me is like, if you're not gonna use Deathstroke, don't taunt us with Deathstroke.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
That was a small for me.
Yeah, it's a tiny thing. Yeah.
But speaking of the movie, though, I remember watching the movie for the very first time in the very end when he said, "This is the best day of my life," and he's dressed up as Robin.
I cried. This is Avi, wait to watch it tonight.
I gotta watch it tonight.
Yeah.
What's really great about the movie is that they take the exact wording from the comic.
Oh yeah.
And they put it right into the movie, man. Like the whole scene where Jason's like, "Why did you let this guy live? Why is he still living?" You know, that whole, all the wording there is put perfectly into the movie. Yeah. Jason Todd jumping saying, "This is the best day of my life." Like when I read it in the comic, man, I started leaking tears, because you feel his wonder as a kid and as a crime fighter and a sidekick to Batman, and the joy that Jason had in doing what he was doing. And then you see that joy go away as he becomes conflicted with this whole idea of being tougher on crime than Batman's willing to be, because he was that way as well.
You don't really see a lot of characters die off and then become a better character afterwards.
Yeah.
A lot of characters die off, come back, and they're to be honest, I think they're kind of more weak than they were before. They have a weaker story to them. They're not like, you know what I mean? Like you're not as invested. Whereas Jason Todd became so much better. Like
I agree.
Like for me, I mean, obviously I'm biased, but still,
no. I agree with that. Like I was never really the biggest Jason Todd fan. Like regular Jason Todd Robin. Not really the biggest fan of it personally, but I really like Red Hood.
Yeah.
Especially after reading this, I'm probably gonna go read some other Red Hood stuff that I haven't read.
I
actually, for the end of the show, I got some. I wanted to, if it would be okay with you guys. I wanted to show off some books that maybe you guys would be interested to read if you are interested in more.
Definitely, you should definitely do that. Definitely.
That's great.
So let's get into covers. Let's get into covers real quick. Like, I'm gonna go with the obvious one. I tend to favor the Jock covers versus the Wagner covers, but I think the Wagner covers have this cool, like, quirky, kind of old school humor feel to them, which is kind of can be cool too. But the Jock covers are darker, more ominous, more more modern. And obviously, this is the cover to the annual Batman Annual 25.
Yeah.
Jock after Jim Aparo with that classic Pieta right there. That's definitely one of my favorites from the run. But there's so many good ones.
It's one of the most, I think, eye-catching and just memorable. And
I love that black mask cover is great.
I'm currently working on a top 100 covers for a video that I'm making, and this one's on there. This was my Halloween costume. I don't know if you remember from Comic Gories.
Yeah,
when you were Black Mask, that's awesome.
Like this cover to me is one of my favorite top 100 covers ever made.
That's a great cover. That's one of the Wagner ones. Yep. And let's see here.
Nope, sorry.
Oh, yeah, the other way. Yep.
So this is the
Yeah, move it the other way. Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
This one here is the variant to, I think it's 6. Crap, what number was it again?
Let's see.
This was the variant to, because the original one was Batman holding Red Hood's helmet, and this is
that's the one. The chapter when he's
640
for sure.
640.
640 or 642 or
No, not 640. It's
Sub backseat.
639. 638. This one.
638, yeah. 638.
You talking about this one, McD?
Yeah, man, yeah. That's the one. Because that's the original cover, which I have, but I don't have the variant, which is the Jason Todd one. And I love that cover so much. It's awesome. I can't find it anywhere.
This is my second favorite cover of the. I just think
that's the next one. Yeah,
that's just
that's a good
one.
Wagner, isn't it?
Yeah.
Look at that knife.
Yeah, that's one of the Wagner ones. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites as well.
So, unfortunately, it doesn't. Like, my favorite one in the run doesn't really have anything to do with the story, but I just love this particular Jock cover.
I love that. That's my second favorite. I love that Jock cover.
I really love the contrast between the white and the black, and then just jumping.
Yeah, I just think it's a really cool Batman cover. It's not like of the ones that are more story relevant. I think it's actually the Black Mask one is the one I like the most, but that Matt showed. But
yeah, I mean, I don't know which one of the Wagner ones is my favorite. I think it's probably the one Matt chose, if I'm honest. I
don't actually like Wagner ones.
This one for example. Like, I just feel like Batman looks weird.
Yeah, he looks a little.
Yeah.
Like some of the Wagner ones, I'm just not as into. But
yeah, the Black Mask one is legit.
The Black Mask one is probably my favorite of his.
Yeah.
But you can't knock 635 though. The first appearance of Jason Todd as Red Hood.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean?
These two go to real beautiful, man. Like,
yeah,
they're almost the same. They're almost the same thing.
Yeah.
Love it, man.
Yeah, it's just more closer up one with the other one. I can't try to find the one that I really like.
The Hush one. I think somebody used that on Comic Gories for Skeleton.
Oh, did they put it in here? Yeah, at the end. Yeah, they put it in at the end. Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's a good one. Yeah.
Actually,
that technically doesn't count as part of this run, but it's a great cover.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorites too.
That one's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one they used for the trade. Yeah.
That's the one they used for the trade. That's a Jock. I love that one.
I just love Black Mask too, Kavi. Like,
me too, man.
That dude
is so funny.
So great. Wait till you watch the movie, dude. Oh, I can't wait for you.
I do think this one, it's at the end, and they don't show it. It's a second printing to the annual. I do think.
I like that one too, man.
Oh, it's a good one.
Really good too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the second print to the annual where the story, like, of how he actually came back. So can I ask, I'm going to ask the group, what do you guys think about the annual and how they actually, why he's alive?
Yeah.
I'm curious. Matt, you haven't said a lot. Let's start with you. What do you think about, the whole that it's just because Superboy Prime altered?
That's earlier you guys were talking about it.
Well, it's not just because of that. I mean, it's because of that he gets out of the grave,
right,
and gets to eventually Talia al Ghul and Ra's al Ghul, and then eventually.
That's not why he's who he is.
Yeah. This is where the movie, and I don't want to spoil it for Kavi, but this is where the movie does it so much better than this.
Really? Okay. All right, we'll have to look out for how they do it.
You're gonna like it, man.
I'm 100% on Matt's side with this as well. I agree that the movie, how they did it, I'm not going to spoil it either, but how they did it makes more sense.
What's up, big?
As a storytelling point of view, it makes more sense, and it's more of a close knit story rather than the other one, because there's too many things where you're like, why? It's
what JP said. It's condensed.
Yeah, exactly.
Quick, streamlined. It makes complete sense to bring Ra's al Ghul and Talia in that way. Beautiful.
But I'm also going to defend it also because actually, if you read, and this is actually going to go for my the books I'm going to show you after to the end. It actually coincides with Red Hood Lost Days, and that's why it kind of actually makes sense more once you read that, and then you go back to this. So if you want to read more Red Hood stories, go to Lost Days. It's awesome, and it's more of like the back story of Jason Todd before he actually even becomes onto the Red Hood. So yeah, it's definitely, it makes more sense in that way. But if you haven't read it, then yeah.
No, I've not read that. So yeah. So yeah, I just felt like it was like they were like, we're bringing him back. Let's use this as an excuse, sort of. Oh, look at that.
Yeah, these are all awesome hats.
Yeah.
Let's not get caught up in the hat.
Oh, you know.
Chat. Let's just be thankful we brought Batman hats to the table, unlike JP.
I got caught up with Barbarian asking Mr. Ralph for a towel as he got out of the shower.
I know. There's some really intimate things happening in this chat that I can't highlight every single one.
Yeah, I've been like giving the chat. The chat is like,
chat's going haywire on us a little bit. Hey, this is what we do when we do this on a Saturday at 2 o'clock. Yeah. All right, so we're about 41, 42 minutes into this. Where do we feel like this book ranks for us?
Can I ask one more question, though?
Okay.
Before we get too far. There was two things that I thought with this where I thought were missed opportunities, like in the storytelling. The first was that they didn't tell both fights from Batman talking about his former partners. Like, I thought that would have made really cool contrast of the two Robins. The second one was
wait though. I gotta say something about that though.
Okay.
Red Hood is still the way that he's come back and the things that he's feeling. He still feels like he's underneath Batman's cowl. Like Batman's still like he's looking up to him and he's trying to fight back and be like, I'm my own person, right? Like I'm mad at you. Nightwing has already been like, I'm done with you, Batman. Like I love you, and yes, you're still like as amazing as you are, but like I'm me, I'm Nightwing. So it had to be told from his story.
Well, I just feel like it should have been told. Like the reason I wanted both fights to be told from Batman's perspective,
contrast.
Yeah, to just contrast the two Robins from his point of view. I just thought that would have been a really cool. It's a very minor. It's just something I thought would have been a missed opportunity. That would have been a cool way to have both fights, like him seeing those two kids that have and what they've become. Yeah. Like I just thought that would have been a cool addition that they kind of missed.
I'm also sure though in previous Batman stories though he has talked about Jason being more of a loose cannon, with all the other ones. So I mean, if you were to do that, you would, it might feel like a repetition of things he's already said before.
Right.
Whereas
a lot of it is, but it's still told. That fight is still told from his perspective. But yeah, the other thing that is a very small, to me, missed opportunity is who the hell is Onyx and why is that whole scene with Tim?
Okay, time out. I would kick her out of the story completely, except for the moment where she meets up with Red Hood. He's like, "You want to go kick the crap out of him with me?" She's like, "Heck yeah, let's do it!" Like that was beautiful.
Like, I think she was there for the shoulder, like for that motif, that running motif of like shoulder injuries or shoulder tactics or whatever, because that planted a seed and then that got paid off again later.
How much more powerful is that scene if that's Tim and Batman hasn't told him what he suspects about Red Hood? Like,
that
is just a massive missed opportunity in the middle of this. If that's Tim and Tim doesn't know because Batman's like being Batman and not talking, which that's probably what would have happened.
Yeah, but Tim would have figured it out anyway.
Tim and Batman aren't really talking. Like they're mad at each other. So if they're not really talking, and he hasn't encountered Red Hood. He never met Jason. Like I just think that's a huge missed opportunity.
That would have been epic. I agree with that. That would have been epic, man.
Because I would have liked to see Jason, how he would have reacted to see Tim as fast as he became Robin. Do you know what I mean? Like it wasn't like it was like a few months or whatever or a couple of years. It happened like that, and he was Robin.
And I realize they tell that story later. Like the first encounter of Red Hood and Robin, they tell that story. I just think if that had been there, oh my gosh, I think it just would have elevated the whole thing. I think if you had included that in there.
Yeah, I can understand that. I can totally
agree.
That. I would
agree. Great idea.
It's a small thing that I'm just like, missed opportunity. Not a negative storytelling thing, other than Onyx is just weird, but like as a character. But
you think Jason could have stabbed him in the shoulder? Do you think he could have gone there with knowing what Tim goes through as a Robin to Batman and having like a soft spot for that?
He almost kills Tim when they finally meet. Like,
I haven't read that one.
He beats him bloody. Like,
Dude, okay, then maybe he does stab him in the arm. What book is that? Because I haven't read that one.
I mean, speaking of beating bloody, like the scene where Jason Todd is beating Joker to a bloody pulp, and you see Joker, and you see like the blood pool, like that is probably the most emotional scene.
Oh yeah,
like there's a line in the movie.
One of the most.
He's like, "Oh, we know each other," and he's like, "Okay." Joker's like, "Okay, that's pretty cryptic." To be, and Joker makes all these jokes like, "Oh, to be part of the, did we go to the prom together? Did we do this? Did we do that?" And he's like, "No, but you made me." And he's like, "Okay, go on. I'm intrigued." And he's like, "Well, let's see what hurts more." And he holds up the
crowbar.
The crowbar. Oh my god! Like that line.
So good.
So good, man. Like, I loved it.
What's up, 1-2 Comic Talk?
He starts with it there, like right there.
Yeah. Right there, man.
Boom.
Yeah.
So good.
All right. So next up on Gotham City Hat Collectors. The chat is going crazy about our hats. All right. McD also brought out the shirt. Matt changed his shirt at the last second while we were having technical difficulties to a Batman shirt. So that was a sweet move.
I was having technical difficulties, damn it.
All right, so we've read what? This is the 15th story we've read. It's hard to do this part of the show now because we have so many stories to
15
to recap.
Don't tell us which ones you've done. Oh my gosh, so many good.
Yeah, just read the list. Read the list, JP.
Okay, Batman Year One, The Long Halloween,
awesome.
Hush, The Court of Owls, White Knight, A Death in the Family, awesome. Mad Love, Black Mirror, The Killing Joke, Gotham Central Volume 1, Harleen, Batman Earth 1, Gotham by Gaslight, Curse of the White Knight, and now Under the Red Hood.
It's a lot.
And so this list is the order in case anybody wants to know, this is just the order we've read them in. This is not my order of favorites.
That's not a ranking. That's just the order.
You guys ever thinking about doing No Man's Land?
No Man's Land is so long. How do you?
Yeah, that's longer. It's longer than this. Way longer than this.
And multiple times.
Condense it. It's so good though. It's just so good.
We'll get there. We'll get there eventually, Biggie. He's always harping on Dark Knight because we haven't done it yet.
I know, Biggie. We haven't done Dark Knight. Here, I got a stack of stuff potentially here. I'll pull out in a second. But so
I put this towards the middle or so of the pack. I don't have an exact ranking anymore out of those 15. It's just too hard to keep up. But like in my head, it's somewhere in the middle of the list. It's definitely not in the bottom of my list, and it's definitely not at the very top of my list. But it's somewhere in the middle. So because overall, I feel very positive about it. I just have only read it one time. I have not seen the movie, so I need more time to appreciate the story over time. But right now I have it sort of smack dab somewhere in the middle of that list of 15. So we're talking about 7 or 8 slot out of 15 for me.
Like I've kind of kept track and kind of moved them around, but it's not exact. But it's more clusters than true 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 through 15. Mm-hmm. And it kind of goes for me, Hush falls just outside my top 5, and it's probably behind Hush, but it's right in the cluster of the books that are behind Hush, like Black Mirror, Harleen, Gotham Central, A Death in the Family. Those are all clustered right there, and it probably goes toward the top of that cluster. That's just for me.
So that's similar to me then. It's somewhere kind of in the middle.
I would say 7, 8-ish.
Yeah, that's where I'm at, 7 or 8-ish.
Where I'm at. With it probably behind Hush, but maybe ahead of those others.
And this is not my list of all-time top favorite Batman stories. This is of the 15 that we've done. JP and I don't do our all-time rankings. We just do because we're on every show. So, but you guys can do your where it stands all time. I think we know where it stands for McD.
I think we know where it stands for McD.
Yeah, for me, I'll let mine go.
No, you go, dude. You're the Red Hood, dude.
Yeah, sell it. Tell us why we're way underrating it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, surprising as it may be, guys, it's probably my worst. Now I'm joking. I'm not joking. It's fine. Come on, like, it's gotta be my top. So I just love this. Like this. The reason why this story I love it so much is the fact that honestly, I know it sounds kind of cheesy, but like it kind of dragged me out from a really, really, really dark place from where I was. Like I was ready to give up, and I was ready to just like I was really ill, and I had a lot of things going on at the time, and I don't know. It just brought a connection to that character that I can't explain. Yeah. And honestly, I just love it so much. I'm biased. I love it. It's my top, 100%.
Awesome, dude. That's great.
Like McD, I totally get that because, like, people ask me a lot of times why Nightwing is my favorite character, and for me, like that run and his original series that he started out, that first run in Bloodhaven, I was reading that at the time that that story just means so much to me, and as a result, the character does, and that has lasted even though. The story is probably not one of the greatest Batman stories. Like for me, it is because of what it meant for me at the time and where I was at. So like it bumps it up the list even higher than it would belong otherwise. So I totally get why you love this story so much.
That's why when I received, I can't believe this. I mean, it's on my wall. I love it so much because Matt, the amazing brother that he is, got me my 9.8 freaking Batman 65. Like that, like personal grails to me are so much higher than what you would call just like a grail. So like, for example, like, Final Fantasy, not Final Fantasy,
7, Final Fantasy 7 original in the case, graded.
Dude, I love that, dude. I love Final Fantasy 7 so much.
Or,
there you go, Ruli.
And stuff like that. Like those are like, your top grails. But for me, I think other people would agree too that personal grails just mean so much more to that person because of that reason. Like I was a punk kid when I'm not really changed, but I was a punk kid when I was growing up, and I got into so many fights and stuff like that. I was just a bad egg of my family. Like that was me. And then I got really ill and I was just ready to give up. And then once I read that story, like of Red Hood, like I loved it so much. And it just gave me so much more hope. And I just love it, man. It's like, I don't know how to explain it. I just love it.
No, it's totally cool, man. What about you, Matt? Where's it go for you? Where are you thinking?
Talk after that because there's just too much emotion there. I can't compete, man.
I also, by the way, want to shout out as well Soldier and Fuchsia because they were the ones that obviously helped Matt as well. Which thank you guys so much if you guys are watching because they're awesome.
You know it, man. This is definitely a top 3 Batman story of all time for me. My thing is this, like, if I separate it from the movie, which is hard to do because it's all in my head together, like I told you, that movie is my favorite DC movie I've ever watched, period, live action and animated. It's the best thing I've ever experienced with DC.
So that's definitely going to influence how you rank the book. Unfortunately, that makes sense. I almost wish I did watch the movie beforehand, but it's kind of interesting that I have I'm one of the few that seems to have been approaching it the other way around.
I think you're good to have read it first.
Yeah.
You're in the same boat as me, though, because I read it first. And
you read it first? Okay.
And I still absolutely adore that movie. So, like, there are subtle changes, and like even JP said, they condensed it to a really good movie. Like, it's not like it makes it bad in any way or shape or form. It actually does really well how they've done it. And, like, some animated movies go too far and they cut things way too much out, or they add things that don't really make sense. They just did this film so much more better, and they just gave it that little bit more. I think honestly, it's fantastic.
Yeah,
like Hush was a great animated film, but I didn't like the changes they made there.
Yeah, I didn't like the changes.
I didn't see the Hush movie yet either.
The story is way better. In this case, this is like a Lord of the Rings thing. The book is amazing. The movies are amazing. Like, you're gonna love them both, and they're their own thing. But for me, like, Jason Todd's my favorite Robin. So and that's very rare. Many people don't love Jason. They don't. Like, they killed him off for a reason because the readership was like, this guy sucks, get rid of him, But that's right when I came into reading this. I read this as a kid, and then all of a sudden I get back into DC and I watch the animated film, and Red Hood came from this, and I'm just it's Jim friggin' Starlin, one of my favorites. Like it's his top 3 for me. Probably probably my favorite story because I mean, just
love you, bro.
Red Hood's just the coolest thing about that come out of that, you know.
It's better than the Death in the Family for you, Matt.
Yeah, well, see, the Death in the Family, like that was like top 3 too.
Right.
The thing with Death in the Family is the last issue. If it had been different, it would have been my favorite story. But it floundered and they didn't write it right, you know?
Yeah, nothing tops year one for me. Like I have the same personal connection to year one that McD has to Under the Red Hood. I've read it at least 25, 30 times. Yeah. It's the book I read. It's like the comfort read I have if I'm going through like an emotional situation or whatever. Like it's like my comfort zone.
Yeah, year one
is year one. So it'll never move off the top of my Batman list. But the animated movie is I've only seen that like twice total.
But that's
So I don't favor the animated movie much when it comes to DC stories.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you guys this. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. But like, do you guys class this as a Batman story or a Red Hood story? Because I know it's a Batman book. I get that it's Batman.
Yeah.
It's a Red Hood.
I would still class this more as a Red Hood story rather than a Batman story. Because I didn't put this under the same category as Batman stories. Like my favorite Batman story would be Hush, but my favorite Red Hood story would be Under the Red Hood.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, I think I can get that because it's I mean, I would classify it still as I don't know. We do the show it's Gotham City. It's a Batman universe kind of story, and I think it's a very important Batman story.
I do too.
An important Red Hood story because we all like his story is all like Batman. His whole thing about the loss that drives him, losing a Robin, and then having this Robin who he thought was dead come back different. Like come back where. And you still get that conflict even today, like where Jason is still trying to push boundaries that Batman doesn't want him to cross, and that like
shoots him in the face.
Yeah, there's still this back and forth that goes on of them trying to like, even though they're in a better terms now than they were, like of trying to find. So I think it's a very important Batman story, but it's also like the Red Hood story. Like
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not taking away the fact that it is a Batman story. I get that because obviously Batman is conflicted so much, and it really, really affects him psychologically and it's emotionally, and obviously it's his ex-partner that's come back from the grave to now see him so different and taking on like this underworld and this underworld persona. It's obviously a big important story, but I still think that it's like you said, it is probably the Red Hood story. You know what I mean? Like that's the story you want to read about Red Hood, and then carry on from other ones after that.
Yeah. I just like Jason so much. I know a lot of people are annoyed with him, man, but like,
I love Jason. Jason
story,
is like my guy.
Man. The story when he steals the wheels, the tires off the Batmobile, like
408.
And then Batman's like, "You hungry?" And he's like, "Yeah." And that's how the relationship starts. Like. You could see he had such a bad upbringing. He was living on the streets. He's stealing. He started. I
like the writing around the reason for the character and the whatnot, but I don't necessarily like the character or the personality until he became Red Hood.
Yeah.
Now I like the Red Hood, Jason Todd's Red Hood character, but
I feel like when they wrote him originally as Robin, he was stuck, and it wasn't necessarily his fault. He was stuck in this place of. Like I will fully admit, like Dick Grayson, Nightwing did not become a good character really until George Perez and Marv Wolfman took him to the Titans and they made him grow up. Like 70s, 60s,
I disagree with that.
60s Batman Robin is so campy that Dick is not as good a character as he is now. Like in my opinion,
yeah.
And I feel like when they brought Robin back, they tried to put Jason Todd still under that what Robin was historically, instead of letting Jason Todd be a character, like when he was originally before they killed him off.
But this is why I like Jason Todd so much, because when you look at every single Robin, they've been under this mantle of Boy Wonder or Girl Wonder, Stephanie and whoever else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. And there's been under this mantle of being this like kind of campy, kind of underrated character. Jason blew that out of the water. He was this guy. He was literally just kind of a brat. He was a bit of a dick. He stole. He was in a really bad upbringing, and
hooligan.
Like that was the mix-up that I loved about that character, and that's what Jason to me is so different and so much better for me. Like it's not just your run-of-the-mill Robin. It's a different type of Robin, and that's why I like him.
I'll say this, man. If I'm gonna rank my Robins, the first thing I will say is I haven't read everything, and every time I read something new, it changes the way I feel. Right. But I love Jason because him and Red Hood are one to me, so I love them. I love Damian second, Tim third, and Dick last. And I know people are gonna think I'm insane for saying that, but like I've read so much Damian, like Damian and Jonathan Kent in the Super Sons. Holy crap, man! It's some of my favorite reads I've ever read. And Damian's attitude and personality, freaking love it, man. Tim figuring it all out in a lonely place that we're dying. The dude is so intelligent and amazing. And then, I mean, but here's the thing: like those four characters, it's not like I'm saying this one's great and this one sucks. They're like the MCU films. They're all the best films I've ever watched in my life. They're some of the greatest characters ever created,
See, I prefer Dick as Nightwing rather than Robin. I still love Dick as Robin. Like I do. I still think he's a great character.
Yeah, Matt, go back to sleep.
I love Nightwing so much. Like Nightwing is one of my favorite characters of all time. Like I love Nightwing.
Yeah, if you have to, like, if you're right, to me, like, Dick Grayson became the character, like, that I love when George and Marv took him to the Titans and then made him Titan. And that's when he became the character I love. Like, before that, not so much. Like, as Robin, he probably does not rank as the best Robin. No, because the writing, I don't think, was as good for him as what we've gotten with Damian, as what we've gotten with Tim. I don't think Jason, I think as Robin, Jason would be, like, you would probably put Jason and Dick as the worst two Robins just in terms of the stories as Robin. And the Tim and Damian have gotten better as Robin stories. Now, as characters, I actually like Red Hood and Nightwing better than I like any of the others.
I agree, yeah. I like Red Hood and Nightwing more than any Robin.
If that makes any sense. Like, once they became what they are now, is when they're better than they were as Robins. For me.
All right, McD, let's see some of those Red Hood stories that you recommend. I'm curious.
So, again, it's Judd Winick. So this is Red Hood, The Lost Days. So this is the story about Red Hood way before Under the Red Hood. So this is about him becoming the Red Hood. He needed a persona to bring back to fight Batman and to fight Joker, and he wanted to become a different person altogether and basically be reborn. And this is the Lost Days that we just it's awesome. Like I'll show you some of the artwork as well. I don't know if there's any good ones. Yeah, there we go. So
sweet.
Who is the artist on this?
The artist is Pablo Raimondi and Jeremy Hahn. I don't know if I said that right.
Okay.
But I've not really heard of them that much. This is also, I don't know if it's actually in the back. I want to show you guys. Yes, it is. So this is like one of my Red Hood grails, and I cannot find this ever. It's so expensive over here, at least. I can't find it. If you guys find it, please let me know. But it is the Francesco Mattina Red Hood variant issue 1, and it is a beautiful cover. I love it so much.
Yeah, when I did that, I included that when I did the Red Hood show, like in the covers, and that thing's a ghost.
Yeah, dude, it really is a ghost. Like it's so hard to find. It's not really long. It's like 6 issues or something like that. Okay. I think it's 6 issues. Yeah, it's 6 issues. It's 6 issues, and it's just about the stories behind Red Hood. It's definitely a really great read. I would highly recommend it. It's awesome.
We might have to put that on the list and have you back.
That looks interesting.
So Red Hood Lost Days by Judd Winick. Cool. Then obviously I wanted to show you guys Red Hood and the Outlaws. This is obviously from Rebirth, which is obviously Scott Lobdell and Dexter Soy. Dexter Soy is one of my all-time favorite interior artists. I love Dexter Soy's work. Like his style of like Red Hood and Gotham and Batman is just, it's so badass. Like I love it. I need to show this this panel. Where is it? Like that bit there, like that, just that there. Below the line, like that is
nice.
a thing of beauty. It goes back to the angle 25, and I love it so much. Like, up to issue 25, that was my favorite run. I'm also going to talk about this because I do like this run. I just don't love this run. And I think Matt's on the same page with me. And this is obviously Red Hood Outlaw, where they changed his appearance, and a lot of things have been happening within the days of...
What's the name of that run? Something for an Archer?
This is Requiem for an Archer. So this is...
Requiem.
Requiem
I haven't enjoyed that at all.
And then the next one is Prince of Gotham. I think that's volume 2. I'm not the biggest fan. Like, don't get me wrong, it's cool. Definitely the best cover that came out of that is that cover there.
Yeah, that's
from Yasmin Fuji. I love that cover.
Oh yeah.
Issue 26 that was, and I enjoyed issue 26. I actually thought, where this is going, it might be cool. Okay, yeah, it looks different. It's not my Red Hood, but it could be good. It's kind of on the. It's not as bad as Rick Grayson for me, because Rick Grayson killed Nightwing. I'm waiting for that to come back so I can buy it again, because it actually breaks my heart. I can't read that. But it's not the best. I'm still reading it because I'm biased and I have to pick up Red Hood, but I'm not.
Right. It's an automatic on your pull list. You gotta get.
Yeah,
you have to get it.
But I would highly recommend getting from. If you're wanting to do trades, get volume 2, 3, 4 of the Rebirth, because they're all fantastic. They're all great.
Nice. Yeah, I haven't read a single issue of Red Hood Outlaws. I want to now because
so good,
I like this story.
So good, man. It's
I agree with you. It's amazing until it gets to the point where he changes his outfit and everything, and like that's right after he pops Penguin in the face.
Well, and that's when they take Artemis and Bizarro out of the story, right?
Yeah, and he was so good with them.
Yeah.
And I also I know a lot of people as well. If you want to read more Red Hood New 52, I understand where people are coming from where they didn't like it as much. It's only because the writing was so bad for Starfire, it made it so depressing. But apart from that, I still enjoyed it. I love Arsenal and
I read some of that.
The dynamic between them.
I had to stop reading that because of the way they were writing Starfire, because it was so.
And I understand where people are not completely understand. It's very depressing. It's not like the Starfire we know. But I still enjoyed it just because obviously it's Red Hood, and I love Archer. Arsenal. So yeah, I think it was really good. But it's not as good as Rebirth. Rebirth is definitely a stronger read than New 52.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, great show, guys. I know Matt has another show to get to pretty soon here, so I'm gonna skip the whole what you got coming up or whatever. It was awesome hanging out with you guys.
Sure, 20 minutes, sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we were on a weird schedule to begin with, and then we had some issues. So
yeah,
I'm gonna spare everybody that. But thanks for showing up, everybody in the chat and hanging out with us and voting on our hats.
I want to say thank you so much to you guys.
Thanks for being on, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Honestly, thank you so much for even having me on. To actually just talk about Red Hood, I could talk about this all day. So
we'll have to have you back. We'll have to have you back for whatever the next Red Hood or Jason Todd
start your channel again
story is. So
yeah, if we do Lost Days, I think that's going to have to be added to the list. So maybe we'll get that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I have been thinking about doing my channel again. I have. I'm worried about the whole it's still whenever I go up to it saying you need to do the guidelines between COPA.
Don't even worry about it. Just ignore it.
Dude, yeah, dude, that's that's totally up to you. But
it doesn't matter.
That's totally up to you. But for those of you watching this that aren't familiar with D, he's on Instagram. His link to his Instagram is in the description below. Yep. If he ever chooses to get back on YouTube, that's his prerogative. But and then the link to these two fellas' channels are also in the description below. But you probably know them. And you probably already subbed to them if you're watching my channel. So, this has been Comic Books NYC. This has been Gotham City Chronicles, episode 15, Under the Red Hood. Thank you for watching, guys. We will see you next time.
Love you guys. Peace.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.